Hi, welcome to another episode of Investing Ideas with Chris Summers and Austin Hankwitz. How's it going, Austin?
Feeling good, man. Feeling good. Excited to learn about this interesting idea that you've been working on behind the scenes.
Yeah, so we started to take a look at a company called Fifth Wall Acquisition Corp, which is a SPAC. And this SPAC, back in, I believe, April, we can pull it up here on hedge.com and get all the information we need here. So they announced they're acquiring a company called SmartRent, which I highlighted here on April 21st. And SmartRent is a company that is a leader in home operating systems for residential properties. And what they do is they sell to apartment buildings and property managers devices and equipment that allow the tenants to automatically unlock their door, control their thermostats, do things like leak detection. And they've got currently 15 of the 20 largest apartment real estate investment trusts as clients.
Got it. Got it. So it sounds to me like this company is sort of bringing the term smart home or smart house now towards larger residential properties that people might be in apartments, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I can go here on Unhedged and we'll pull up their investor presentation where they talk about the business model and what the opportunities are. And what I thought was pretty interesting about this company as I scroll down, they have more units installed and states served than all of their competitors combined. A competitor also would include Latch, and that ticker is LTCH. You can see the industry leaders here have chosen SmartRent. 15 of the top 20 multifamily owners are SmartRent clients. And then here, this is kind of the slide that ties it all together. They talk about how they've currently got 176,000 units installed. They've got another 752,000 units committed. And the committed units plus the installed units represent $624 million of booked revenue here, which we can see on this slide. And then the other clients, the other units that they have that don't have SmartRent devices yet represent a further 2 million units here. And that is the big opportunity that could really get the revenue significantly higher over the next 5 to 6 years.
5 to 6 years. That's a really good timeline there. I was going to ask you that question. I'm sure people listening right now are thinking, okay, 2 million units, all these people, a lot of upside here, but sort of what's the timeline that? So you think 5 to 6 years is a pretty fair timeline to put around a company to deploy hardware like that across those units?
That seems reasonable. And there are certainly some risks here. So we have the ability on Hedge to check people that have tweeted on the company and talked about various things. So if I go through some past tweets, there's actually a good tweet thread here of somebody who's analyzing the company and the opportunities. And then here we've got a situation where we can see that one of their clients, which is Avalon Bay, is actually using both Latch and SmartRent products. And so that's a potential impediment to them getting that full capture of the other 2 million units. If you've got a client like Avalon Bay that's installing a mix of both, it kind of suggests to me that it's probably regional managers making these decisions instead of being driven top down. Mitigating that though, if you go back into the investor presentation, they do have a couple clients that have almost fully installed SmartRent products. So some clients are certainly driving these decisions from the top down, and it looks like other clients like Avalon Bay are driving the decisions on a regional basis, which is causing, I think, some of the fragmentation.
Gotcha. And I know in that investor relations report, you had pulled up Avalon Bay was, I think it was a top 10, I think number 8 or 9 there on that list. Question I have is, if Avalon Bay is using both of these sort of products and it's something that, does impose sort of risk going forward in the future, sort of how big of a portfolio is Avalon Bay in their entire, top 10, top 15 there? I'm pulling that back up, Chris.
Yeah, let me pull the presentation back up here. So if
I wouldn't imagine it's too much.
I believe they have 80,000 units out of the couple million.
Got it.
So it's not a lot, it's not a little, it's a meaningful number, but it's not the majority of it, of course. So here you can see the SmartRent investor. The clients have the checkbox here in this second to last column.
Mhm.
And then on the far right column, and this is another highlight of Avalon Bay, or I'm sorry, of SmartRent. They have a lot of the top real estate property managers as investors in the company. So you can see MAA is an investor in SmartRent, Starwood is an investor, Equity Residential, related companies, Essex Property Trust. These are some of the biggest names in REIT land for residential REITs.
Totally.
Yeah, and here you can see number 4. So Avalon Bay is the 4th largest REIT. They've got 80,000 units. MAA is the top with 100,000 units.
Well, I think that's a really good call out you just had there, Chris, talking about how not only do these companies use the products, but they're also investors into the company because they believe these products are so useful, right? And so there's no reason that these REITs, real estate investment trusts, wouldn't now have some, bigger idea for this and, bigger expansion across their portfolio with SmartRent, considering
Yeah.
that they're investors.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you can kind of see here on this chart where Aimco, for example, did a rollout a few years ago, and they're now at 93% penetration up here.
Mhm.
So when you get some of these investors that are also, or I guess clients that are also stakeholders, you'll see much faster adoption. Like UDR here, they're an investor, they're a client, and you can see they've really ramped up the rollout. Perhaps Avalon Bay, they're not a SmartRent investor apparently. So maybe that's why they're testing both.
That makes a lot of sense. I wonder what, just for speculation purposes, what that penetration rate on average would be across all of these investors. Probably north of 50%, I'd imagine.
Well, I think currently it's obviously well below that, just given how much room they have to grow.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, like in the
exactly.
future, right? As they roll this
Yes.
out, like UDR did with the 83%, I'd assume that, these people would want to inch towards that 83, even 90 something percent that we saw on that other slide.
Yeah, exactly. A good analysis would probably be to add up the total units owned by SmartRent investors. And you could drop that in. There's already there's some analysis already on Hedged here on Fifth Wall versus Latch, but you could create a new spreadsheet in here and sum all those up, and that would give you a good idea of what they're likely to have in the next couple of years. My instinct is most of those clients that are also investors would probably go north of 80%.
I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah, and you can see the stock's not really significantly higher than the IPO price. SPACs typically IPO at $10 per share. And, it went as high as almost 13, but it's, still at 11.59. This is real-time pricing here. So it's not trading at much of a premium to where it went public. And the presentation suggests that, they could get to $1.5 billion of revenue with their existing client base. If that's the case, the transaction's being done at a $2.2 billion valuation. It would be a very attractive investment if they can hit and execute on these targets. To me, I'm watching it. I want to see what their second quarter looks like, which hasn't been reported yet. Latch.com reported last week, I believe. Let's pull up Latch here. So Latch had their earnings on August 12th, and the stock fell. Investors were disappointed that they kind of reduced their 2021 guidance here, which I've got highlighted. So, there is some risk. There's an unknown about what Fifth Wall's second quarter looked like, or I guess SmartRent. Fifth Wall's acquiring SmartRent.
Totally. Well, I think this was an incredible, interesting, quick little call out here for the people watching. And if you're watching and you have some sort of take on this that maybe we missed, or something that you've been able to find through digging, or maybe on Twitter, of some sort, definitely share it with us. We're always looking for feedback and collaboration on Unhedged.
Yeah, definitely share feedback on Twitter or TikTok, and feel free to post or contribute any content on Unhedged as well. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. See you, everybody.
Awesome.